Hello and welcome. I'm Andreas, your host for today, and we will look at AI coding, a brand new feature released by the amazing people who create MaxQDA. It was released just 2 days ago. So if there is something buggy, might be because it's 2 days old. However, I didn't notice a bug so far with AI coding. So it's a brand new feature and it's one of those features that really makes me think. It really makes me think like, okay, what can I all do with this? And I hope you will be as excited as I am on this implementation. First, before we start, these AI meetings often draw some people who don't know MaxQDA yet, these 6 cryptic letters down here. So I will give you a very short introduction in first, what's the goal of this workshop? What is AI Assist? What was it so far? And then we will have the major section of this session all about AI coding and its implications. Let's get started. What are the goals of this workshop webinar? First of all, I want that you understand the basic functionality of the new AI coding feature. You should know what's the new kid around the block. I also want to, and that's because the show of the feature doesn't need 60 minutes, but I want to explore with you how AI coding can be integrated into a research process supported by AI. And I want to show you beyond just only the feature, how well, surprisingly well, this feature connects with things that we already have. And I think that's something that makes AI Assist in combination with MaxQDA particularly valuable. What is the AI Assist? The AI Assist, that's an important thing for all of you who don't know what MaxQDA is. The AI Assist is an add-on to an existing research software. The existing research software is MaxQDA. It's a quite well-established software for qualitative data analysis. So what you mainly do with it is you code data. So you have text and then you label this text. It's one of the so-called CACDAS or qualitative, computer assistant qualitative data analysis softwares, CACDAS. It's one of a family of softwares. And AI Assist is an add-on to that. This add-on integrates a large language model into MaxQDA 24. As it is an add-on, it is not mandatory that you use it. And it's not like the hip new AI software company that just does AI and nothing else. It's a well-established research software with an additional large language model integration. Hans already asked a perfect question, which large language model? It used to be GPT 3.5 quite a while ago. Now, the developers have made it more flexible, and they are permanently evaluating these large language models based on their capabilities and on their data security policy. So I can unfortunately not tell you which is the current one that they use, but it is basically they can change the large language model anytime. It's not necessarily from OpenAI. Unfortunately, I cannot tell you in more detail about that. I think it's sort of a bit of a secret, but I know that they can flexibly adjust 2 different large language models and always trying out which one is currently the best. So you are also not locked into like, if the ChatGPT, OpenAI people do something stupid, this has no effect because the developers can just switch the model. It's a large language model. If you have not, likely you have heard of large language models, but just as a quick reminder, these models are trained based on training data, here in this case on text, and they are made to generate text. That's why they are called generative AI. And usually we do this by a prompt. For example, we say, ChatGPT, write for me a poem about chocolate. And then it tries to come up with a poem about chocolate based on my prompt, and it will do something like chocolate, chocolate, oh, sweetness of my life, or whatever. Something like that. That's what you can play around with large language models. They are used to generate text based on training data and the prompt. What's a bit special about AI Assist is it uses deterministic settings for their models. So that means it follows the more likely probabilities. It doesn't try to be super creative in the sense of, if I request a summary for something and I request it 3 times, it will 3 times be very similar. And it doesn't try to, like, if you interact with a chatbot, if you ask a question 3 times, you get 3 different answers commonly. AI Assist does not do that. It tries to stay predictable, stay deterministic. That also means that there's less hallucination. And if 3 people create a summary of the same text, it will be very similar. And that means also that it's good for the reproducibility of your results and for limiting hallucination. That's just something. I have so far not seen AI Assist seriously hallucinate, like telling me something that definitely was not true. I tried to fool it several times, and then it always told me like there's nothing in the data like that. So it's not so prone for hallucination. If you want to use AI Assist, just a quick overview. It's not, you can just Google how to get it. It requires, that's the most essential thing, the newest version of MaxQDA, that's MaxQDA 24. It's an add-on to an existing software, so you need the existing software. You must create a MaxQDA account and be logged in when using it. You must also activate at least the free version for your MaxQDA account. So when you buy a license, you can choose, do you wish to use AI or not? You can also opt out, totally up to you, or opt in. And there is a free and the premium version. Very short difference is free version does everything that the premium version does, but you might run into, hey, you have used your maximum number of tokens this day already. Please come back tomorrow. That's the typical model that most large language models use. So that means if you have a MaxQDA license, you can start working with AI Assist for free. And you will see how well it works for you. And if you see you want to use it very, very, very extensively, you can get a premium license. But don't ask me in detail about licenses. That's something that I know very, very little about. I don't sell software. I'm a functional guy. I'm a functions guy. And it requires an active internet connection. I will give you a quick function overview before we go into the newest function. I used to distinguish the function in 2 types. By now, I have adjusted my typology of AI Assist functions to the latest functions. I just noticed, yeah. So here we have what AI Assist can currently do is it can create summaries for you. That's, I think, the most obvious use case for large language models. Creating summaries based on a text input is something that large language models usually do pretty well. I will show you just one example, not all the examples, just one quick example how this is implemented in MaxQDA. It can also be used to inspire you, to suggest new subcodes. And it can, like, how should I code this statement? It can make suggestions for you or explain unfamiliar terms to you. Then since, well, a few months, we can also chat with 2 T's, chatting with a document or code. So this is a prompt-based interaction, either with a document or a code in its coded segments. And the latest is AI coding single documents. So there already comes a limitation, but you will see how that works in a second. I will start by just showing you one example, just that you understand the function within its context. If you have been to one of my introductory webinars, don't worry, I don't go through everything now. Just quick glimpses at these types of functions. We can summarize things in MaxQDA with AI Assist. And we can summarize our so far only texts as document summaries, code summaries, summaries in the summary grid, as segment comments, in document memos, and paraphrases. If you know MaxQDA well, you will recognize that these 6 things are 6 entities in MaxQDA, which already points to one thing, that the AI Assist really integrates very well with the existing functions of MaxQDA. It's not a separate menu where you can do some isolated AI stuff, but it can, if you want to, strongly integrate into the existing platform. I will just show you only one example, the code summary live, and the rest you can just imagine. I will also use this to illustrate how the AI works in general. Here, MaxQDA is waiting for us. And one thing that I always recommend is when you try out an AI feature, try it with data that you know inside and out, because then you are able to judge the accuracy or the quality of the result. These 4 interviews I have conducted. I know the faces of the people behind. I have their consent. I have given them fake names and fake places, but I know these people, and if there comes up something strange, I will immediately be able to spot it. Don't try it out on data that you have never seen before, because, well, you cannot check it so easily. Here we take Burble, my favorite interview participant from that study. I hope the other ones are not upset, but she was amazing. And I can say, hey, this is an interview, by the way. It's 20-something pages long. Let's quickly see. It's a quite extensive interview. And let's see what AI Assist says when I want to summarize that. I can here choose the summary language. That is the output language. Output language is important because it does not need to match the input language. I can create an English summary, a German summary for an English text, or an Arabic summary for an English text. I had this, I was at a conference lately where someone came by who was Chinese, and well, she got the Chinese summary from a document. I was like, does it make sense to you? And she was like, wow, that's really good. So you have to judge for your own languages. I pick here English. We can adjust the summary length here. I just want the short summary, and text in bullet points. I don't need that option. I hit OK. And now the AI is analyzing the document. So what happens here is, in this case, you see it's faster than I can talk. In this case, this entire document, because I wanted the summary for this entire document, this entire document is sent to the server of where the large language model is. The large language model treats this data and outputs a summary. One great thing about AI Assist is that it's fully GDPR compliant. The servers are within the EU, and also the data is not used for training purposes and not saved long term. So as far as I can see, this AI implementation is so far one of the best when it comes to data protection, because MaxQDA is a well-established software in academic research. It's made in Berlin, in Germany, and there's hardly anyone as serious about data protection than the Germans. I can say it because I'm not a German. This is just that you know about the background. But before you use it the first time, you need to say, okay, I agree, I consent what I'm doing. Let's have a look at the AI summary. Burble, a 40-year-old trainer for writing and writing therapy, struggles with the challenges of self-employment. She has diverse sources of income, including editing, process-guided writing, workshops, and part-time work at theaters. While she enjoys the flexibility and independence of self-employment, she also faces issues like inconsistent income, and so on and so on. I read this and I immediately have to think of Burble. It's not her real name, but it doesn't matter. I have forgotten her real name after the years. And it's a pretty good summary. Catherine asks, is there a limit of text length? Yes, there is. I don't know it from the top of my mind, but just that you know, this is a 1-hour interview. This is 25 pages of transcript, and it's still okay. It still managed to do it. So I think the limit is somewhere at the moment between up to 30 pages, something like that. Yeah, Annika asks, is it possible to make a summary with a specific focus? Yes. Yeah, for students, it was 10 pages. So if you have the free version, you might run into the limit sooner. But the technical limit, independent from your license, is somewhere around 30 pages. And it keeps increasing. Like when this feature was new, I tried to do the same, and it told me my document is too long. But now it's no problem anymore. Yeah, so I will show Annika a little bit later in just a few seconds, summary with a specific focus. I take that as a request. You will see it's another feature, but we can do that. Would you quote a summary like this if you integrate parts of it in your text? Yes. I would not take this text and pretend I have written it. That can get you into troubles. But just to get it to remind yourself what the interview was about, or I used it on literature reviews where I got a long German summary for instead of short English abstracts. That was so helpful for me in understanding complex journal articles. Then it's absolutely no problem. Don't pretend you have written the text without quoting something. That can get you into serious troubles with your university, but not with me. How would you quote it? Is the author Max QDA? I have to reference you to the help page, but basically you would say, hey, you could, I would do it. That's not legal advice, right? I would do it like as you quote anything else, and you would then just say footnote and say this text was created with AI assist by Max QDA from. You can look it up. There is a help page on the Max QDA website how to quote Max QDA or how to reference it. Yeah, there's a lib guidelines for ideas. Yeah. Thank you, Andre, for the blog post, how to cite Max QDA. That was exactly what I was looking for. Indeed, you shall quote. That sounds like a command. Yes, you shall quote. Don't pretend it's your text. That's not very smart. Okay, that's the summary. We know that already. Let's move on. You can imagine you can also create summaries for an entire code. So I can say, hey, please summarize the code health for me. Or I can say, please summarize this section for me. Or I can say, please summarize a specific coded segment for me. Why doesn't it display mine now? Doesn't matter. Yeah, these kinds of things we can do. Then let's move on to getting where is it? Here is my slide. To inspiring us with new ideas. I will also just give you a quick overview and then show you my favorite feature so that we can move on to the coding. The next type of functions that I see is gathering ideas, creating ideas, making suggestions. For example, you can gather ideas for codes based on a text segment. This is the one that I will show you. You can also take a code and then ask the AI to suggest subcodes for you. So you will get a list of possible subcodes. Also, you can use it for getting explanations for unfamiliar terms. Again, this literature review, there was English literature. There were some strange words that I didn't know. I got explanations in German for this word. I think AI has big potential in lowering the language barrier for people who are not native speakers of their research languages. Let's have a quick look at gathering ideas. Then I will show you a quick look at the chat, and then we come to the new feature. So, come on, Max QDA. So here we are. So how does it look if I want to gather new ideas? So here, for example, let's take a statement by this participant. Burble here says, you know, we women often have, I'm generalizing again, but finances, business plans are like that. Hands off. I think that's the first thing many men do, business plan, investment, and I don't do that. So she pretends that, or she suggests that she started less with a clear plan into her freelancing. We can take that, and how would we code that? What I like to do in classes is ask everyone to contribute code ideas, maybe, I don't know, specific talents of women, or handling administrative duties, or gender-related project planning, or something like that. We now let the AI come up with something. I can just right-click here and say, AI assist, please suggest new codes for the selected text. And then the AI will give me suggestions. Again, I have to pick the target language. I hit OK, and then the AI will give me ideas. Well, let's see if it was something what I said: administrative duties, planning, project planning, gender. Yeah, gender differences in finances. That was almost exactly what I said. Confidence gap in job applications. Oh, I like the word confidence gap. Care work and gender inequality, missed opportunities for women. So we see here the AI makes 3 types of suggestions: thematic codes that are very descriptive, then alternative codes that are more general, here like self-limiting beliefs in women. That's something we could interpret that Birbal says here, that she has beliefs that are maybe self-limiting. And we have very interpretative code, untapped potential of women, perpetuation of gender inequalities. So what we get here is just suggestions how we could code this particular statement. I hit OK, and then the codes that I selected are created and applied, but only to this specific statement. Where was it? Here is it. And now you see here confidence gap, self-limiting beliefs, and then confidence gap in perpetuation of gender inequalities. This is just, again, this is extremely helpful, in my opinion, during open coding or initial coding, for example, in running theory or in an inductive coding process, where this can help you to come up with new ideas for how you code things. Yeah, I have to limit the questions here a little bit because I have to move on. So if you have a question that you want to answer in the end, I put it in the question and answer section. I will try to keep an eye on the webinar chat, but I will just move on so that I show you that thing that I want to show you and not get lost in the questions. I'll just show you real quick the chat with a document or code feature. There's another type of feature. This is a prompt-based interaction with the document or code. So what we can do here is we can take a document or code and then take the content of this document or code as a basis for a chat-based analysis or prompt-based analysis. Here, for example, I said, help me find the segment in the data where one participant claims that men are better at networking than women. And then the output was here, based on the provided context, Birbal states here in paragraph 6. I will pick up the suggestion by, I think it was Annika, yeah, of a customized summary, because that's something that you can do with the chat. So for example, I take Birbal here. You remember I have a summary here for her already, but I want maybe a summary that's only focusing on gender, for example. Then I can say right click here, AI assist. I want to chat with this document. And chat means nothing else, but it takes the entire document as a knowledge basis, and then I can interact with it as in a chat interface. I could ask questions like, what does Birbal believe about this and that? Or I could also here just say, create a summary of this interview and only focus on gender-related topics, something like that. I hit OK, and now my summary should only focus on what Birbal says about gender. It's maybe not the best prompt, but I just pick up this real quick. Yeah, you can, Victoria, you can rewatch the recording later. You get the recording link after the webinar is over, so no worries about that. And in the suggest feature of the codes, MaxQDA does not consider your existing codes. It's just new ideas based on a statement. Here we have now, here's the summary of gender-related topics discussed in the interview. The interviewee Birbal highlights several challenges and opportunities that she faces as a self-employed woman. A key challenge that she identifies is the tendency for women to undervalue themselves and their expertise, often feeling like imposters. And here you have what I really love about this chat feature. You here get the references. I can click here, and then we can check this. Here she says, I don't know if you know imposter syndrome. I think women are also quite susceptible to this. So we can actually check. Yes, it gives you the source for the summary for each statement. So you can check it. Here she says, women are hesitant to charge fair prices for their work. Let's see where she says that. Here. And somewhere in here she says it. Yeah, here this is about here the finances part again. I can't apply. I don't have all the potentials. Here, yeah, up here it is. How much is my work worth? We're not really good at that. So you can use this to also find the segments, and then it's clearly based on your data. And again, everything that I read here reminds me a lot of Burble. You can do a lot of these things with the chat. I could show you a lot more, but we want to get to the main thing for today, and that is AI coding. Yeah, the limit of about 30 pages, Ahmed, is roughly the same for all AI features. You can look it up in the manual. There it's exactly listed, but it's roughly around that, but it keeps increasing every day. It's not yet a big data analysis tool, not like you have you cannot like take a 300-page novel and then treat it as one. Olivia asks if you can do chat with several documents at a time. No, unfortunately not, but you can chat with several codes, with a code and its subcodes at a time. So you would rather take a code-based approach. So far, it's just one document at a time. It also has to do with this limit. So now we come to the new kid around the block. Yeah, thank you, Leopold, for the link to the current character limit. So this is just to very quickly recap, and then I show you the new kit around the block. We can create summaries in many places throughout MaxQDA. They are pretty good, but they are one-click summaries, right? You click a button and their summary comes up. It's a general summary. We can get suggestions and ideas for new codes to inspire us to find new perspectives on our data. And we can chat with a document or code and do all kinds of crazy things. Depending on our creativity, the main thing here is we also get the references for what the AI claims, and it's strongly grounded in our data. That makes it better than just, I don't know, your next chatbot thing. Now let's come to AI coding. And as I teased it a little bit in the beginning, sorry, I'm going too far. It's comparatively small, but I think still very powerful. Because what you do now is you select one document and you choose an existing code in your code system. You also should provide a code definition. You don't technically have to, but I would strongly recommend to provide one. And then the AI applies this one code to one document. And this is comparatively fast, in my opinion. We will test it here with my 30 pages interviews. So these are serious 1-hour interviews. It's not just like a very shortened version so that the AI can deal with it. I will show you how this works in a second. So we can do it one document, one code at a time, but with a few more clicks, you can, of course, if you repeat the process a little bit, code all your documents with all your codes, but you need to think carefully what you want from the AI. It's not you press a button and it automatically codes everything with everything. But I think it's a quite powerful tool. We will try it. And we will try it. Let's stick here with Burble. And I want to assign my code health to the document. For health, I have already created a definition. We don't need the AI summary here. I here say the code health describes how self-employment impacts the physical and mental well-being of the interviewees. This includes effects of self-employment on physical, mental, and social well-being. I also said here, and this is also something that you can do, exclude any statements that are about the well-being of other people. Please focus only on the health of the interviewed person. And if I want to do that, I just right-click on my document Burble here. I say AI assist. Please use the AI coding beta. And then this comes up. The AI already knows that I want to have Burble's document coded. And I can also pick the health code here. It immediately suggests the code memo here as a definition. I can change this still if I want to, but I'm fine with that for now. Here also the instruction says your code memo should define which text passages should be coded. You can also specify which passages to ignore. If we would not have a memo, it would just take the word, but that's not very precise. So yes, Stefan, you can also recheck documents that you have already coded. I will show you some implications of this in a second. Let's just hit OK and see how well it does. Now we have Burble, one code, a definition. This is like typical content analysis, right? You have a well-defined code and you ask someone, please code this document for me. But this someone is an AI-based tool. So while this is running, I take a look at the question. Yes, the AI features work across languages. I also had a summary from a customer where the interviews were Turkish, English, and Turkish, Italian, and German. And she created English summaries, and it was quite fine. But of course, it may impact the quality of the result. So my AI coding has found 5 coded segments. I can hit OK, and you see what has happened here. The AI, the MaxQDA created a subcode that's called AI Health, E-N-O-O-1 verbal, with 5 segments and this specific coded, this specific memo. It did not immediately integrate it into health. I can do that with just one click. I can here say merge it, then it merges that, but it keeps it separate for me to review. So I can review the codings that I got. And what you see here already popping up is that it not only codes every statement, it also gives you a reason or an explanation why it coded that within the segment comments. Let's see what we got here. Health. Very exciting. I take a look at my notes. Then I asked here, how does it affect your health, social, mental, physically, whatever? Well, it was not so hard to find that. You see here AI health, that's what the AI coded. And then my coding here in probably red, mine starts a little bit later because I didn't want the statements by the interviewer in here. And what reasoning does the AI give? This segment directly addresses how self-employment impacts verbal, physical, and mental well-being. Well, I'm directly asking for it, so it's obvious that we need to code this. So you see here, AI health is this segment. Then it created another segment down here. And my own segment basically overlaps with these two. So you know that's a decision that the researcher needs to make. Do I make these 2 statements? Do I make this one coded segment or 2? But it caught the same segment that I got. I can keep reviewing this and see what else comes up. Here the AI recognized health, although I didn't code it. I can see what it's about. More good money for value. What is the reasoning of the AI? This segment shows how the interviewee considers their well-being when making decisions about work projects. Oh, here, what often happens is that I get inquiries on Saturday morning and I always think to myself, that's fine. It's the first weekend off with my husband. I don't know. So she's here evaluating. I didn't code it as health because I didn't immediately consider it directly health adjacent, but you could definitely make the argument for it. If she says like, I wonder whether I should take this job on a Saturday morning, that this might be something health related. Then here I found something that the AI didn't catch. Then let's see, here the AI finds again something. So you see how that works. It creates a subcode and then puts the statements there. I can review the statements here. This code here has a slightly different color here, but it's basically a totally normal code. You can do everything that you can do with a normal code here. You can open it up. You can review the statements. You can move single statements into something, and you can use all the analysis options that MaxQDA has to offer. Of course, I can repeat this process now for more codes or more documents. I will show you a little bit more about that in just a second. But just to, show you that this wasn't a one-off thing, we can do the same here with Alex. I again say, hey, Alex. Hey, that is actually a song, but hey, Alex, I want to AI code you. Okay, I just don't say that to Alex, but I say that to myself. I want to AI code the document Alex. Again, I pick here health. And then I use the exact same definition. Of course, it makes sense to not change it from one document to another unless you get results that you do not want. And then it does it the second time, and it will call it then AI health Alex. So it does that you can very easily merge these into one document. I will show you in a second. But I think it's a good idea that it keeps the AI codes from the non-AI codes apart so that you can first review them and then decide what to do with them so that they are not lost or immediately merged into what you are doing. That's the feature. One code at a time, one document at a time. But you see, it doesn't take too long. I mean, if I give a human this 25 pages long interview and say, please mark all the statements that relate to health, it would certainly take longer than 60 seconds. So that said, we can maybe try once again with, well, yeah, let's do one experiment here. You remember I have created the code self-limiting beliefs in women, helped by the AI. And the AI gave this definition, the internalization of societal messages about women and women's capabilities. I can also take that as a basis for my AI coding. Let's see if it finds the same statement again. I can say, hey, Burble, I want AI coding on this code that earlier was created by AI. Of course, you should not only blindly trust what the AI tells you, but you see here potential in how these features can like interlock. And I will give you a bit more of an example about that in the remaining time. So I now take self-limiting beliefs. Let's see if we find more than one self-limiting belief in Burble's interview. Should at least find one because, well, the thing suggested it to start with, but let's see. Well, and you see self-limiting beliefs in women is a much more complex, like content-wise, more complex code than maybe health. But let's see what comes up. 7 segments. Wow, I'm surprised. Now I would be very curious to spend the rest of the webinar just looking at these 7 self-limiting beliefs. I can here go through them. It should, of course, overlap with, yeah, it coded the exact same statement of which this code originated, which shows us a certain level of consistency. Also, it sees a self-limiting belief here. What is it? Oh, that women's capabilities in networking and self-promotion are limited. Interesting. Next one. What are other self-limiting beliefs? Clearly illustrates the internalization of societal messages about not being worth being tied to their earning potential. Verbal expresses how she and other women often feel less value when they earn less. So you see, this is a content-wise very complex code. Self-limiting beliefs in women. But I did a pretty decent job in spotting them. And we can keep working from here. Yeah, you can, of course, group the codes. You can move these codes around. So I could now say the self-limiting beliefs in women, that's basically a code about gender. I want to move this here. What I also can do is I can change the color of this, and then it looks just like any other code. So you see, it's just a code that you can use in all the ways that you can use codes in MaxQDA. I can also go on and merge this into my gender code and say, this is actually related to gender, and I want to have it here. The number was a little bit smaller because probably I have found these elements before. So you see, this is a totally normal code, and it integrates very well in the existing logic. Now we have 20 minutes left. I will spend 10 minutes on showing you how this integrates quite nicely with existing MaxQDA features, and also how you code multiple documents. And then I will keep a bit of time for your questions, and I gladly stay a few minutes longer because with such an audience, and I see you posted so many more questions already. I'm sure you have quite a lot of them, but that's the feature. If we now think about AI coding as part of the research process, not as an isolated step, but as part of a research process, I see here 4 points where AI can come in. Doesn't need to have to mean that you need to use AI on everything, but here are 4 points where you could use it to some degree. And we had it already in developing the code system. You remember the little hack? I created an AI-based code, self-limiting beliefs. I asked the AI to create it. And then I applied this code with AI coding. So what we can do is we can suggest codes. We can use suggest codes and explain this to help us create code definitions. Once we have our code definitions, we can use the AI to code it. I will show you how to code multiple documents just that you see how that works. Then I will show you a little bit on analyzing, and then I will spend most time on validating the results, on comparing AI coding to our own coding, because I think that's where a lot of value lies, not because we can determine if the AI is better than us, but because we can use the AI to make sure we have not missed something. We can really use it in the role of a research assistant who says, like, please make sure that I didn't miss any important statements about gender in this topic, in this interview. So here, I'm not going to show it again because I basically spoiled it. You can use suggest new codes based on a segment. That's the feature I showed you earlier, to come up with names for a code and with an explanation for a code. And we can take that as a basis for our AI coding. I wouldn't use it unchanged like I did, but you can take that as a basis and then see where else the AI finds this code with that explanation. We can also use the explain a term function to create a definition. For example, I asked the AI to create a definition of health, and it came up here with health is a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and so on. I can also use that as part of my code memo. So that's the code system development. Here it can help us a little bit out. Then how does it work if we code multiple documents? Basically, it will look, if you use the health code 4 times, it will look something like this: health Burble, health Alex, health Fiona, health Alina. You can just select them all and merge them. And then you have them all in one AI code encompassing all your documents. If you have 4 documents, you have to do it 4 times. If you have 10 documents, you do it 10 times. Of course, it's an extra step, but well, this is still very new, and I think it's doing a quite well job. Honestly, I would not have thought that AI can code self-limiting beliefs in women quite well. I was actually surprised by that myself. So here, we have to do it that way. I will show you real quick. I have prepared it if I find the right project right away. Where is it? Desktop, no. I'm on the same device. Oh, challenges, freelancing, AI coding, coded. That should be it. Because I don't want to waste their time waiting. Yeah, it looks then something like this if you do it for 4 documents. And I here made a copy where I just have the AI codes in. You see here that there's code here with this definition. It actually found 11 health codes in Burble, but I limited it a bit more in the next version. Here you see it found 11, 7, 11, 7, 7, 11 codes. And we can just merge these codes if we want to, and then just call this code AI health. And this now contains all the AI codes regarding health for all documents in one. Now we already see that the AI found 35 statements and I found 15. You saw earlier that the AI made 2 segments, I made just 1, but it's already an interesting comparison. And we can carry this further in trying to validate or add to our coding and make sure, like, how good is our coding? Did we miss anything? So this is how you then do several documents at once. You just merge that. And if you want to integrate the AI health codes into your existing health code, you can just drag and drop it here, say merge, hit OK, and now your health codes, the manual ones and the AI ones, are all merged into one. You see, it's just dragging and dropping on the right interface. And it was a deliberate decision to give you the option to first look at it before you say, now I want to integrate it. I will just undo that step for you So you see here, you just have to do it a few times. If you have a small code system with a comparatively small number of documents, you can do quite extensive coding with this pretty fast. And you can also just try out your codes, your code definitions, see what you find and see what they are found. When we then look further into analysis, one thing that I find quite interesting is you can, on the one hand, with the suggest subcodes feature, suggest new subcodes for your AI code. I could then ask for subcodes for self-limiting beliefs. That would be very interesting for me as a researcher. And I can also create a code summary for the AI codes. And what I haven't done so far, but what I want to do now with you live, is I have here my 15 manually coded statements. I will just make sure that the summary is empty. I will reset this. And I have here the AI code health. So we have here two codes, 1 times 15 and 1 times 35 statements. And I can now create a summary for my manual coding. I can say here code summary, English. Let's make it short. I want to have it short. And hit OK. I don't want to include the subcodes. This is now a summary for my manual coding. And then I can create a summary for my AI coding and see if the summary is any different. Let's call up here the AI health too. Also a summary for that one with the same settings. And then we have two AI summaries, one for my manual coding, one for the AI coding, and we can see if we get a different perspective. Let me see, I want to open this in a new tab. Doesn't let me, but let me see. AI, it says self-employment offers flexibilities and opportunities for better work-life balance, but also presents challenges related to health. Here it starts out with being self-employed can provide more flexibility and control, which can be beneficial. However, it comes also with risks. From a very first quick reading, it seems to me that the general summary of the statements might have quite some similar findings. So you can just use this to do AI coding in addition to your existing coding and see if you find insights that you missed out on, if you find statements that you missed. That's a section here with the summary. I'm running out of time, but I just want to show you one more thing that I really wanted to try. I go back to my previous project. I show you one more thing because 12 minutes are not long anymore, and I want to have some time for your questions. You may remember here with Burble, I here have my AI code and my AI code health. And for example, I can check how far these codes overlap, for example, with a visual tool with the code line. I now take the code line. This is a special visualization tool inside Max QDA. And it will just visualize this one document, but it will give me an idea. Here it is. Here on the top, you see my coding. And on the bottom, you see the AI coding. We see that here in paragraph 13, I found something that the AI didn't find. Then here we have quite some overlap, basically a different cut, probably in the same segment. Here we are pretty close. And here in the end, the AI found some statements that I didn't find. So I can double click here and check that and see. And what I would do if I want to improve the quality of my coding is I would AI code my existing codes and then do a checkup like this and see like, hey, did I miss that? Is that a valid interpretation of health in this document? Or maybe my definition was not clear enough. And you see that that's the biggest potential I see so far, not only like making your coding faster, but you know how expensive intercoder reliability is? Like having a second person code something? Here you can get an AI intercoder to some degree that will give you an alternative interpretation of the text based on a large language model, and you can then check, did I miss something? Do things overlap? Is my definition clear enough? Yeah, is this statement here actually what I understand under health and I missed it? Or maybe is my definition not clear, or is it just fault of an AI? So that's what I wanted to show you. There is so much more. I just show you a few screenshots to give you some ideas what else you could do. So for example, you can use the smart coding feature and sentiment analysis on an AI created code. For example, I have here the code AI health, and then I do a sentiment analysis, splitting things in positive and negative based on that. Just a very quick example. So, and we can also use it for validating things in the document browser. We can use the compare codes feature to compare our manual coding to the AI coding. We can also use the code line as I used here. And here you see that it's not just another AI tool. It's an AI add-on within a very powerful research software. And you can use all the potentials of MaxQDA, word frequencies, document comparison chart, document maps, whatever you like. All these features you can use combined with AI. And that's, well, mixed methods that we didn't account for yet. So I will now come with a last word of warning, and then we go into your questions. I see here at least 13 open questions, and I fear more will come once I end this. I hope you got an overview that, first of all, AI can do so much more than coding. MaxQDA can do so much more than AI. And I think the AI coding, one document is just the beginning. I'm sure more will come. And I think it can enrich our existing methodologies and give us new options. But what about AI in general? I personally am a very big fan of the wording AI assistant. This is not an AI co-pilot or something. It's an assistant. And you can give your interview to an assistant and say, here, I wrote down a definition for this code. Please code it too. And your assistant might make mistakes. He might have different opinion than you do, or she, or in this case, it. But it's an assistant, and you need to check back on the work of your assistant. As an assistant, it's never a good idea to expect that an assistant can do all your work. You are responsible for the output of this assistant. You are responsible on providing clear instructions. You are responsible for, well, if this result is valid or just hallucination. We humans are here to judge the relevancy of what happens here. If the AI coding is good or bad, that's what we decide. If it's helpful for a research question, that's what we decide. We are also the ones who are accountable for the results. So you cannot say, sorry, it was an error by the AI and I completely produced invalid results. The AI in itself is really good at reducing manifest contents, in summarizing things, in reproducing established patterns. And as we have seen, it's also doing quite a good job in quite thematic coding, one code, one document at a time. I'm very excited what else is coming. I hope you are too. And I think I really want to stress the point, in my opinion, here is not to automatize coding completely, but rather to increase our coding quality, because now everyone can afford an intercoder. And if it's just an AI intercoder, and that would be the perspective that I take. Other people might have different opinions, of course. Okay, this is me. Just in case you want to reach out to me, I already promised, if you want to have the slides, please send me a quick email and you will just get an answer. Thank you for joining. Here are the slides. Here is my email. I'll send it to everyone because usually that's the fastest way, because I make changes 2 minutes before. Andreas@müllermixedmethods.com. I just send you back the slides, no strings attached. If you need help from me as a consultant or as someone who provides trainings, as a speaker, please also feel free to reach out to me, connect with me on LinkedIn. I love that. More webinars are coming up. The most important one is the community event, the Max Days, coming up on 10th and 11th of September. Also several sessions about AI. If you love to learn online about AI and qualitative data analysis, don't miss out the Max Days. Please join us here. You can just Google Max Days and you will very quickly find the sign up link, or maybe someone in the chat can post us the link to sign it up. I'm looking at Leopold or someone of these. So you can easily sign up for the Max Days. Thank you, Laura, for the link. That's fantastic. Okay, I will now go through your questions. I will first have a look at the question and answers, and I will first look at the older ones. And if you are not interested in the question and answer and me talking about random questions, you can just drop off, totally fine. You can rewatch the recording. And if you want to stay here, I gladly will address your questions as best as I can. Okay, have you validated AI Assist by comparing it to human-coded documents in any way? Example, by using intercoder reliabilities. Yes, John, that's exactly what I tried. You see here, I did it visually. I think the visual one is the most insightful one. Intercoder reliability was not high because, well, the number of segments that I created versus the AI was quite different. So that's here the typical intercoder reliability is a bit at the limit. However, this visual comparison, this manual comparison, this is pretty good. And what I found so far in comparing it to my own coding is that, well, I grasped everything where I had a very clear idea what I'm looking for. And I sometimes found things where there is some nuance that I thought like, is that really health? That was not what I was looking for, but maybe it's very important to consider that because, you know, when you're using a deductive code system, you very easily just find what you look for. I think it's now up to us to do studies with like AI intercoder and see how good it is. But, you know, human coding is also quite error prone. So that's a very interesting thing that we can do now. Can you use MaxQDA to generate the codes itself before applying it? Yes, with the suggest subcode feature, with suggest codes feature. However, it's on a segment by segment basis. You can, of course, like this feature here, you can get suggestions for codes based on a specific segment, but it's not going to suggest code for the entire project for you. Is it possible to group AI-generated codes? Yes, I think we saw that. You can just group them, reorganize them, merge them. It's just another code. Can we identify themes of coded segments and generate frequencies other than just summaries? So you can definitely try to like identify themes based on coded segments, for example, with the chat feature. If you want to generate frequencies, you need to use the coding feature because you can ask in the chat how many times does the word so-and-so appear, but this is not reliable with AI models in general. These large language models are pretty bad in trying to guess numbers. There's this famous examples of how many R's are there in strawberry, and almost all large language models get this wrong because they're not good at counting. That's why we still need the step of coding, because then the numbers can be more meaningful because we can check them. That's the short answer here. John asks, what instructions or parameters do you give AI Assist for how much text to include? Yeah, that's something that I also I'm wondering, and I earlier asked Stefan Redeker about that. So the AI also determines the segment size, and at least for now, it's not possible to give it like a clear instruction how big these segments should be. It definitely, I have not seen any case where it codes less than a sentence. So it tries to make meaningful units, but sometimes they are bigger, sometimes they are shorter. It's like an assistant. Well, you would love to tell that assistant, please only code sentences. That we cannot specify yet. Maybe we can in the future. Can you define segments in the context of the software? Well, what's a segment? A segment is just a part of a text that was assigned a certain label. So if I say here, I take a sentence And if I code it, this sentence or this statement here becomes a coded segment. However, as I said, we cannot so far define our analytical unit. That's, of course, the next thing that we would all love to see. Analytical units, like tell it one sentence, two sentences, one paragraph. For this, the search and autocodes feature is still more predictable. When chatting with a code, can AI differentiate between documents? Annika asks. Yes, yes, it can. If you chat with a code, the AI can distinguish between different people because it will also consider the code name here. So the name of the code is quite document. The name of the document is quite important. And you see here, I always wrote the name in the document, which makes it even easier for the AI to identify between various people. But it can happen that it mixes it up a little bit. If it's not clear from the document name and or the context of the segment. Trainer Paulus says, so basically the AI is learning how to more clearly define the code you have created based on what you include in the memo, and will continue to apply it to the data. The AI is not self-learning here in the sense, but you provide a definition. You then tell the AI, please assign. And when you see that you're unsatisfied with the results, you might want to change the definition. It's not a self-learning loop here. We are not training the AI here. That's not what's happening. We are rather like improving the quality of our definitions. I have AI in my subscription and I have updated MaxQDA, but I don't see the AI. Please get in touch with the functional support team. If you have MaxQDA 24 and you cannot use AI because you don't see the feature, it could be that if you use a network license that your university said, we don't want AI on our network license. If they deactivated it, then maybe that's a reason. Or I think in some countries, I think for legal reasons, it's locked in China or some weird things. But if you find no cause why you should not have AI, if you're not working on a network license, then better get in touch with the support team. They can troubleshoot it. Can I specify the length of the coding units? Frank asks. No, unfortunately not. How do I manage that I used AI Assist when creating my code system when talking about intercoder and intracoder reliability? Very good question, very new field. My basic answer is be as transparent as you can be in your methodology section. If you say, hey, I used AI for an intercoder reliability check with AI, then describe what role AI played in that and what version of it you used. That's the short answer to it. It's already past 5 o'clock here. Feel free to hang around if you want to listen to more questions or ask more questions. If you have to leave, you have to leave. Of course, people have more appointments than just this one. For me, it's the last one of the day. So I don't mind if I ask 5 minutes longer, answer questions for 5 minutes longer. John asks, in general, as compared to human coding, do you think AI assists overcodes or undercodes? Does it seem to find more examples or less? I understand what you mean. Yes, in the little testing I did in the last roughly 48 hours, I also found it to rather overcode. Yeah, but that's very fresh feeling. I would recommend, if you can do it, try AI coding on a document where you have done manual coding and then compare it. And you will immediately see if it's overcodes or undercodes. But if it's overcodes, you can already start with exclusion criteria. Like I said here, please only consider the health of the interviewed person, not of the interviewees. I'm not looking for, if my child is sick, I can easily adapt to that as a freelancer. That's not the kind of statement that I look for. So I need to be precise with an exclusion criteria. Because sometimes I have a more specific idea what I'm looking for. So I would say overcode, but I could be proven wrong within a day. I want to use AI Assist to refine my existing code system. I see no problem with that. You have your code system, you have your definitions. let the AI do some coding based on your definitions, and you see if the AI finds much more and maybe your definitions are not precise enough. If it doesn't find anything at all, maybe your definitions are confusing. You can use this as a feedback loop. And here I also don't see any immediate danger of like plagiarism or something. You just use it to test the quality of your coding system handbook. You don't pretend that the work you have done, that the work the AI has done is your own. Yeah, John is also curious about the back-end development process. I don't know if how exactly it is with the model. I'm a trainer, and I love doing trainings about AI. I get the software as it is. I immediately answer relevant questions about it, and then I deliver it to you. Unfortunately, I don't have any insights in the exact technical workings of it. I don't know the prompts. I don't know what exactly the fine-tuned model is. You would have to ask other people about it. Sorry, that's just not my field of knowledge. When we merge manual and AI codes, does it mean there might be some overlapping paragraphs which have been coded multiple times? Ahmed asks. Yes, Ahmed, that's also a reason why we keep the AI code separate. Because what happens if they overlap and I merge? Then there needs to be a decision on which code is the given priority. Usually it combines the codes in one larger segment. Yeah. So you see here with merging AI codes with your own codes, you have to be a bit careful. I mean, the segment comment will also help you to keep in mind this was AI created, because you will not go about and delete all the segment comments. Catherine asks, I'm just looking at the Q&A section here. Sorry, I want to work them off. Let's see. Are the AI code creations documented in the project file even after deleting them? No, they are not documented. I mean, it's documented in the sense of it says AI here. It has a specific color, and each segment has this comment. Oh, but I wonder, that's a good question. What does it say under author? Does it say my name? Created by, here gives my name. That, of course, would be ideal if it would say created by AI. It pretends here I have created it. Okay, so AI is tracked by the color here, the name here, and the segment comment. That makes sure that you don't miss it up. What version of AI is MaxQDA using? Victoria asks again. It's there are different large language models out there, and they always pick the one that works best. It used to be GPT 3.5 a while ago, but now they are using more flexible ones, also because of data protection reasons. Yeah, I cannot tell you exactly one. I am in the US and not on a network license. Yeah, please troubleshoot this with the support team. If you cannot use AI, just send a message to functional. Just Google functional support MaxQDA, send them a message, and they will certainly find out what's wrong. Matthew, hi Matthew. A question: can this feature be used with the results of the retrieved segments pane? So retrieved segments, that's what Matthew is talking about. In retrieved segments, you can chat with the listed text segments. That's quite nice. But you cannot say, I want to AI code my retrieved segments with another code. That's not possible yet. It's just, I pick one document and this one I can code. Not yet with retrieved segments. However, I can chat with retrieved segments if I want to. But not auto-coded, AI-coded. Abir Suleiman, advice to the anonymous, I have the same problem and the technical... Abir Suleiman said, advice to the anonymous attendee, I had the same problem and the technical support helped me. Yeah, just write to the technical support. They are very nice and very quick. Neil just wrote Andreas. That's also nice. So we have 6 more. I've already answered 25, not including the chat. Will you send out the recording? Yes. You don't need to email me about the recording. Your recording you get automatically. Just email me if you want to have the slides. You get a PDF file, and then, oh, Neil now asks, Andreas, excellent overview. That's great. Okay, I'm glad to hear that it helped. Another question by Matthew. If you run the AI coding more than once on the same document, what is your expectation of intercoder agreement? Matthew, that's a perfect question. I wanted to try it before that webinar, and I haven't yet. And you know what? I mean, the people who still stick around 10 minutes longer really want to know this stuff. Let's do it again for Burble and see how the intercoder reliability is. I don't care. Let's do it one more time. I have here Burble. I will also apply the AI code to it, and we see how the intercoder reliability comes up. I'm up for this stuff. Let's try. I now do AI coding with the same instructions. Just make sure that we mark this try one with the exact same instructions. And then let's see what's the intercoder reliability. I also want to know. I just want to know how many segments there are. So what I know is it should be quite similar, but it will not be identical. I would guess the intercoder reliability is 80%, but let's check. Intercoder reliability, for those who are not familiar with the concept, is basically a question of what percentage of coded segments have been coded the same way by two people. And we are now asking the AI to, here we also got 5 segments. This is try 1 and this is try 2. We can immediately check if these are the same. 19, 23, 32, 45, 52. I'm just looking at the beginning numbers too here. Looks quite similar. Yeah, let's compare them. I wanna do that. Let's merge them, and then we can get an intercoder reliability here. AI versus AI, and this is not an AI war over Burble. Feel free to drop off if you need to. I'm really sorry if I have not yet made it to your question, but I think that's just something that also has bugged me. Analysis, intercoder agreement. This is Burble 1 from presumably manual coding, but it was not, and the AI coding. And I just want the AI code only for activated ones. And we want overlap. Let's see. What does it say? Drum roll. It's on this page. It's looking pretty good. Here is the result. I guessed 80%. It's 80%. 8 agreements, 2 disagreements. Yeah, I put my email in the chat again. Sorry about that. So Matthew, here I got 80% agreement. Please try for yourself. We don't have the time now to. Yeah, thank you, Linda. It's so great that you all help out. Yeah, so you see here, this first one is just I activated by accident. It doesn't matter. The AI health one is the relevant one. 8 agreements, 2 disagreements, and we can check the disagreements here. That are interesting things that we can do now. And you can run it 2 or 3 times if you want to make sure you really, really didn't miss anything. Okay, I answered Matthew's questions. 4 more. Very basic questions, as anonymous attendee. I have several documents, interviews with various questions. How do I start to create segments for these questions one by one to optimize my coding? What does anonymous attendee mean? You can create segments for the different sections of your interviews. If you have a highly structured interview, you could prepare it as a table, as an Excel sheet, and then import it as a survey data that would pre-code the data a little bit for you. Or you could also consider using here the structured text import, with which you can pre-structure your interview if you have specific segments that you want to treat separately for chatting and summarizing. That's an interesting option. Short answer is structured text or Excel spreadsheet. You can look it up in the manual. Both are interesting options to pre-structure your text. Kanul Karimova, could you please, email, we got it. Thank you, Nick. Can I ask it to code using in vivo code and then actual coding? Unfortunately not. You cannot tell it to create in vivo coding, because this is now really deductive coding, assigning a code, an existing code with a definition to the data. The in vivo coding, or a more inductive coding, is what we found in these suggest subcodes. AI assist suggest new subcodes. This is the inductive, the open coding, the initial coding. And the other one is really assigning a code back to the data. Actual coding, well, that would be mainly grouping your codes that it cannot do yet. But we already see, we have some basic inductive text-driven and some basic concept-driven, data code-driven coding already here. That's already very interesting. Yeah, Matthew says that 80% is usable. I also think so. We need to try on larger sample sizes. But I think, yeah, you can spend quite a lot of time with that. You can also do it 3 times, then merge everything, and then say maybe that's the better basis for it. But I'm quite happy with 80% here. And you see, you could do the same with a human. You could compare it to human coding, but the tough thing is that you cannot clearly predict the segment size. One more question, Matthew. Sure, I think you're the last one. Sorry, one last question, intercoder reliability with the AI. Would you expect the intercoder reliability to be markedly different? Should it to be run on the same document by different people, like different team members? The inter-rater reliability. So, I mean, in general, I'm not sure now if you mean AI or not, but if I give the same coding structure to the people with the same instruction, more than 90% is pretty good. So it always depends on how clear your instructions are. I see quite a challenge in quantitatively comparing AI to humans, because, well, the segment sizes, but I think the visual comparison is actually the more interesting one. We could also do it here, with, like, here in this case, we could do the document comparison chart and compare that. I think the visual qualitative comparison is more relevant than the immediate intercoder reliability. Let's see how it's here. Yeah, we see here that the coding is pretty much close. This is the AI, the blue one is the AI coding, and the other one is my manual coding. So we can compare this quite nicely also on a visual interface. Yeah, so to answer the question by Matthew, I think you mean about people. In general, the experience I have with intercoder reliability is it's tough. It's really tough, unless you only focus on very thematic, very explicit codes. Where I say, hey, code it whenever they talk about childcare. That's easily doable, but code every, what was it, self-limiting belief? What is a self-limiting belief? That's much tougher to get intercoder reliability right. Okay, I answered here 33 questions in a few minutes. I'm reading some thanks. Yeah, I thank you all very much. Thank you also for those who stayed longer. If you have a last question for the question and answer section, I still take it. Else, I would say thank you. Please come back to the Max Days. What was it? 10th and something of September. Here it is. Yeah, 10th and 11th of September. There is a lot more about AI. Yeah, Matthew, magic. It's not my magic. I'm just a user. But you see here, if you think about it in a smart way, and I hope you not only learned something about how do you click to use this new feature, but maybe you also got some ideas on how you can use it for your thesis. And even if you are done and you are handing it in 2 weeks, maybe you just want to check on you to see if you haven't missed out on any important segments, to see maybe you have already manually coded 8 documents, and on the 2 remaining ones you want to start with some AI. And maybe you now understand why I said earlier, yeah, I think it's the smallest possible way of implementing AI coding, but I think it's a very smart one, because it doesn't do everything at once. It starts a code in the document at a time, and we'll see where we are in a few months or weeks. I made you renew your license. That's great. I honestly now a little bit of chit chat for those who still can't get enough of it. When all this AI stuff came out, I was like, whew, I hope Max QDA catches up on that, because that sounds pretty big. And in doing this presentation, again, I think they do a very good job in implementing AI in a very meaningful way into a qualitative data analysis software. It's not a separate window that promises to immediately code everything for you and make you unemployed, but it's really a pretty smart assistant. And it's made by smart researchers for smart researchers. Okay, I think that's a nice closing statement. Yeah, I look forward to see you again in future webinars. Yeah, have a great day, have an inspired journey, and maybe see you at the Max QDA days or anywhere else. Bye.